Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checkered flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, box flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. PeaceMaker's mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. 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 Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checkered flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, box flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. PeaceMaker's mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. As we get ready to rock and roll, we get ready to rumble. Here from the beautiful Dover International Speedway, welcome in for another night of amazing racing action here with the Wheel to Wheel Racing League. as drivers will get ready to duke it out here. 200 laps on the docket here this evening. 200 laps of hard-nosed racing action here at the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League. Now, this is a little bit of a short track action here. It is the Monster Mile. It is the track that is, it's a very, very tough track. It's going to be very, very slick. It's hot out. It's slippery out there on the racetrack, so these drivers are going to have their hands full trying to keep these cars underneath them, try to keep them pointed in the right direction, and hopefully not having too many issues out there on the speedway. As we get these drivers loaded into the sim, they're all looking for the win. Here comes that 16 ride of Matthew Wood. Matthew in the Red Bull number 16 ride here this evening. Matthew looking for a big run here this afternoon, trying to put himself back up into victory lane. We'll see where he can slot in here for qualifying as drivers getting their final laps in here, and it looks like Matthew Wood with the quick time straight to the top of the speed charts. Matthew Wood, quick is here in qualifying, will knock off Wyatt Mickelson. Wyatt did have the quick time here in qualifying, but now Wyatt back in position number 2. Applegate, Evan Stewart, in Latham Joyner are top 5 out there on the speedway. Jordan Fisher, Michael Durham Jr., Ethan Greek, Blair Saunders, and Nick Biddy, the top 10 here this evening. As of right now, there's still a few drivers, still a little bit of time to try to get some laps in. Looks like Mark Quinn Brewer going to be done his laps here as Nick Biddy, Keegan Huey, Jacob Hafner, Zach Glader, Caleb Holloman, Jordan Brinkley, and Caden Gargiulo all yet to qualify here this evening, as I do believe we got about 26 drivers loaded into the sim. 26 cats can be looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. Hopefully everyone is having themselves a wonderful Sunday night. Hopefully everyone's been enjoying their July 4th weekend down in the U.S. Obviously, there's a lot of the U.S. fans in the stands here. Hopefully, you guys have had yourself a wonderful July 4th weekend. For us Canadians, we celebrated Canada Day on Tuesday, so we didn't really get a long weekend. We had that day off, but it was like, it was a weird Canada Day for us, because we had work on Monday, and then we were off on Tuesday, and then back to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it was kind of a little bit of a weird one. Definitely made things feel really weird. It was almost like you were going back to a weekend, but it really wasn't a weekend, and then just kind of split that work week up quite a bit. But nonetheless, we were able to have a wonderful Canada Day. We were up here in the booth later on at night. Didn't get to experience the fireworks, but we got to see some fireworks on the racetrack, and we're looking forward to seeing some more fireworks here this evening. As drivers getting loaded into the sim, each and every single one of them looking for the win here this evening. They're all looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane. And if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't helped us out already, make sure you guys do it right now before the racing action gets underway. Let us know in the comment section who you're cheering for and who you want to see up in victory lane here this evening. And make sure you hit that like button on the stream for us as well. Absolutely free to do. Helps us out a ton. Every single like and comment helps push the stream out to more and more viewers. As Matthew Wood will start here in that pole position to his outside in the number 51 machine. It's Wyatt Mickelson there in that HendrickCars.com machine to their back bumper. It is the 57 of Grant Applegate starting there in third to his outside in the Majors garage. It's the 37 of Evan Stewart. Starting in position number 5, it's Latham Joyner to his outside in that Hardy Designs, the HB Racing ride. It's Jordan Fisher there in 6. Starting in 7th, the 00, that is Michael Durham Jr. to his outside in the Rest in Peace Chewy ride, the Best Friends for Life number 3 machine. That is Ethan Greek, who will start in the 8th position. Starting in position number 9 in the 98 ride, that is Blair Saunders to his outside in the number 32, that is Nick Biddy. Biddy will round out our top 10 here this evening. And then we see Aiden Lucas. Aiden in the beautiful Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League Goat Racing Diecast, number 34, Ryan Hill start there in 11th. Zach Perry in the 1776 Motorsports Busch Light, number 76, will start there in 12th. His teammate there in the 17, Ryan the Flex Steel Machine, that is Jason Bogart in 13th. To his outside, the 14 car starting in the 14th position, it's Marquin Brewer. And then we see that Timmy Hose, the Tim Hortons, number 74. It is Jaden Porter starting there in the 15th spot. To his outside will be the 6th ride of Joe David. Then we see Trent Johns. Michael Durham Jr. as the green flag comes out. They're already wrecking here on the front straightaway. Look out. Calamity here to start this feature event. Oh, brother. It did not take long before the mayhem got started here this evening, and just as quickly as we were going green flag racing, caution flag quickly out here on the racetrack. So this one did not take long at all. We barely made it to the flag stand, and we are already seeing a ton of carnage here this evening. Let's take a look back and see how this kind of got started, as it looks like the 51 ride potentially. We're going through the field here, and obviously the 51. Let's see if we can find Wyatt Mickelson. Mickelson starting in the outside lane. Now, I'm not sure if it's Wyatt or if the 57 of Applegate gets going here. We'll take a look as Wyatt's up on the outside lane. Just does not get the great start, but the 57 ride right there. Oh, no, I don't know if he gets some contact here or if he just all of a sudden loses the rear end and goes around. Let's take a look here. So he's on the back bumper of Matthew Wood. He's sticking to the back end, Looks like maybe misses a shift right there. And the 51 virtually does the same thing. Almost both drivers doing the exact same thing there. You see the 51 starting to go up into the outside fence before that 57 even makes contact with him there. I don't know if maybe he had a premonition or saw the 57 starting to go around and trying to avoid him, but all of a sudden, all these drivers, man, just absolutely nowhere to go for these cats as they're trying to work themselves through this. Obviously, not a whole lot they can do. Look at Evan Stewart, nowhere to go. The 19 ride, oh, heavy hit there for Fisher down to the inside fence. Heavy front end damage for the 98 ride. Look at Aiden. Oh, Aiden Lucas can't quite get through there. He gets stuffed into it. The 37, the 17, they get tied together. Jaden Porter goes around as well, trying to avoid all this contact and chaos in front of him. My gosh, this is how you wreck a field in the opening lap. You're not even to the flag stand, and things are going to get plumb wild here in a quick race. Look at these drivers, man. Ugh. Heavy hits. So many tore up race cars, man. Even guys just getting in here later on. You see the 6 right there. Joe David getting some contact into it. Let's take a look back at Jaden Porter here. Porter gets ran over from behind. I think Porter sees this happening. And I believe it's the 8 ride, potentially not going to get checked up in time. And I do believe it's going to be Trent Johns, who's on the throttle here. He's trying to get rolling. He wants to get up here and try to make some moves. Unfortunately, the 74 kind of sees this happen. Let's take a look here and see it. Maybe there's no contact. Maybe he just locks him up, trying to avoid all this action, as that's kind of what it looks like right here. Yeah, it looks like he's just locking him up, trying to keep himself out of it. Obviously can't get that car under control, and 74 goes around just trying to get onto the binders to avoid that contact and all that carnage here. Let's see if we can take a look here. Let's see if we can jump on board. This 32 ride ends up getting through here fairly nicely. Let's see if we can watch from Nick Biddy's perspective here. Now, he's starting back at about the 10th position here for Nick Biddy. So he's a little ways back, but as things get rolling, green flag flies here. Everyone's onto the loud pedal. Then all of a sudden, quickly, everyone's starting to stack up. Everyone's got to try to figure out a way to get through there. My gosh, there's so much contact. Drivers flying around right there, and somehow that number 32 and Nick Biddy is able to navigate his way through this one, man. I don't know how he got through there, how he did not get a ton of damage, as, man, it was chaos all around him here. A little front-end damage getting into the back end there of that 3 ride, but very minimal, as it is a parking lot here on the front straightaway. My gosh, looking like Chicago here this evening in the real NASCAR race, as Jimmy J.C. Coker says Miles the Monster is hungry. He says he's hungry. He's hungry. Somebody is hungry, and it is Miles the Monster, and he's going to strike again. Oh, as we go back to green flag racing. It happens again here, the next start, and all of a sudden we got another 3, 4, and 5 drivers collected, tore up here, and turned around once again. Oh, brother, this is, we talked about how it's going to be a little bit slick, it's going to be a little treacherous here this evening, and by gosh, it is definitely that. It is treacherous, it is definitely claiming a lot of drivers here early on this evening, as let's take a look here at the front. Green flag comes back out, 3 right on the throttle. It looks like he spins the tires. He gets checked up right there. As he does get checked up, it makes the 8 right of Trent Johns. Johns really got nowhere to go right here. Doesn't realize that the 3 is going to be at such a slow speed right there. Drives into the back end of him. He's trying to avoid him. Here comes the 95 right to give him a helping hand here. He's going to give him a shot into the bumper. The 11 into the 7 right. The team wants a machine. Gets hooked down the track here as well as Mr. Johns gets up into the outside fence. Jaden Porter going to get some more damage out of that one as he ends up head on into the 8 right. Same with the 22 machine. Nowhere to go there for the 22 right of Michael Ponder Jr. And as that was happening at the front of the field, we saw more issues a little farther back here as the 97 of Caleb Holloman. Looks like the 74 does not get fired off right there, and then he gets ran over. Ryan Haller. The 37 right of Evan Stewart, they'll kind of get tied up in that one. And again, more drivers just trying to make it to the start-finish line here, taking a green flag. And we've yet to get that green flag and be able to get a good green lap in here as all these drivers headed down pit side. They're all looking to get some repairs here, trying to get their cars fixed up. See Michael Durham Jr., he's got some pretty heavy front-end damage now after getting up into the outside fence. Now, a lot of these drivers, they don't want to use their quick repairs up this early in the race. Obviously, the way this one's going, you kind of want to just survive until later on in the evening. If you need to use it, then you got it. But man, oh man, it has been wild here, man. For these drivers, it has definitely gone astray here in a quick hurry. These guys have, I don't think anyone prepared for this one, that's for certain. And for right now, Matthew Wood, our race leader, he's just hitting these restarts, trying to keep these guys back there at bay, but he's getting no opportunities to try to race these guys. And unfortunately, more carnage, more tore-up race cars here at Dover International Speedway, and we will get ready for another restart, another opportunity to see if we can get this thing rolling, see if we can get some good green flag laps under our belt. As so far, all we've seen is down across the line, 7 laps of racing action, and really we've only seen about, 200 feet of green flag racing. Basically, quarter for the end of that Geico restart zone, and not even the flag stand before these caution flags are flying. So honestly, we haven't gotten very far here this evening under the green flag. So let's see if we can get the Uno reverse card here and see if we can get things a little bit more cool, calm, and collective here, and see if these drivers can start to knock off some laps here this evening, as this will be a very long night for all the fans in the stands. Be a very long night for these drivers, and very long night for me up here in the booth if we continue on this trend and can't get these laps underway. As you do see the 17 right up into the outside fence down the back straightaway. The driver trying to catch some good brakes here and try to save himself some damage. Obviously not what the 17 right or the 22 wanted to do right there, as we see Michael Ponder Jr. bounce it off the wall. My gosh, these guys just want to wreck some cars here this evening. I didn't realize it was a demolition derby, but my gosh, we got a treat here for you today if that's what you're into. As here we go. Attempt number 3 here this evening with the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League, the 16 of Matthew Wood. He gets on the throttle, but look out, Zach Perry spins the tires. He gets up into the fence. This time, though, we keep everyone pointed in the right direction. We keep on rolling. Everyone's able to make it down into corner number 1. No spinners, and looks like this one is a winner here this evening. We'll see if everyone can make it down the back straightaway. Look out, as one driver down onto the apron. That is Zach Glader in the Monster Energy number 39. Maybe he's just trying to play a little safe here, fall a little farther back and allow these guys to battle up in front of him, knowing that something may happen a little later on, as we do see Latham Joyner. Latham able to jump up and take this race lead away from Matthew Wood. Wood slides back to second, as now Latham Joyner out in front of the field, leading the way with Jacob Hefner. Jordan Brinkley now there in 3rd and 4th, and here comes Nick Biddy as well. Biddy there in 5th, as you do see Jordan Fisher Fisher. Fisher, who got some damage there off that first wreck. He's now back up inside the top 6 as there is the Fear of the Fish ride in position number 6 on the Speedway. Caden Gargiulo right there behind him is Lookout, the 74 ride of Jaden Porter, getting up and scraping that outside fence there at a corner number 2. Luckily enough, able to hang on to it, but he does have some very serious front left damage here. A lot of these drivers, a lot of these cars looking a little bit worse for wear here this evening. And now look out as we do see the 17 ride of Jason Bogart get up into the fence again. More contact, more damage there for that right front on the Flex Seal 17 ride. And now look out his teammate down low, going to run into more issues. That's Zach Perry into the inside fence down the back straightaway. So unfortunately here for the 1776 Motorsports rides, the 17 and the 76 machine of Jason Bogart and Zach Perry now scored back in 23rd and 24th. Both drivers having some very serious damage here. We do see one driver down pit lane. That is Michael Ponder Jr. And luckily enough for Nick Jensen, Jensen was able to load into the sim here, but has not joined us for this race. As Latham Joyner leads the way here in this one with Matthew Wood right there in position number 2. Hafner back there in position number 3 with Brinkley and Biddy, our top 5. Fisher able to open up a bit of a gap now between himself and Caden Gargiulo, and the Fear the Fish number 19 maybe trying to work his way up towards the front here, maybe seeing if he can slide his way inside the top 5. As Caden Gargiulo up 16 positions, one of the hard chargers out there on the day, is not only is Caden Gargiulo up 16 positions, but so isn't Jordan Brinkley in the 11 ride. Started at the back of the pack and now finds himself here in position number 4. Jacob Hafner right there with him in that Roland number 95 ride, up 18 spots on the Speedway. Scored here in that 3rd position. They were able to keep themselves out of that carnage, out of all that damage there, and obviously a lot of drivers headed down pit side and off of the racetrack. For these guys, they were able to make some quick work and put themselves up inside the top 5, top 3 now, and able to battle at the front of the field. So a great turn of events for them, not starting up there at the front of the pack and having to start at the rear of the field. And now they do see Latham Joyner lead this race with Matthew Wood back in P2 here in that Red Bull number 16 ride. So Wood in tow, trying to hunt these guys down as they've got a little bit of a gap now between themselves and our 3rd place drivers. Hafner back there in position number 3. Brinkley, Nick Biddy, Jordan Fisher there as Fisher continues to work to the back bumper here of that 32 ride. Looks like he'll get a good run down to the inside as Fisher looking to slide his way inside the top 5 here this evening. Fisher down low will make that pass down through 1 and 2. Looks like Nick Biddy going to go up and allow him to take that spot, realizing that maybe the 19's pushing a little harder than he is right now. As now we get into a little bit of a green flag run. Drivers kind of a little bit more organized. Things are rolling a little bit more smoothly here. And now we get to worry about when does that stage break happen here. We will have stage breaks here this evening as well at lap number 50 and lap number 100. So at the completion of lap 50, we will see another caution flag fly. At the completion of lap number 100, we will see another stage break here this evening. So for these drivers, that's good. That's opportunities for them to try to work on their cars, try to get them fixed up, try to figure their day out here and how they need to maneuver or navigate. But as of some of these drivers right now with some heavy damage, that's still quite a ways away. We're not even 20 laps into this race already here, as this time down through corner 3 and 4 down across the line, 20 laps are completed. I mean, we still have 30 laps of racing action left to go here before stage number 1 comes to an end. And for those drivers that have damage, that have had their cars tore up here this evening, that are trying to get them repaired, trying to get them fixed up here before, you know, they have to use a quick repair. Unfortunately for them, they are falling farther and farther back here. You see Michael Durham Jr., Jaden Porter, the 76 rider Zach Perry, Jason Bogart here. They are off the pace. They are struggling. They are hurting. Their cars are absolutely been clobbered here this evening with all that damage, and for how slow they're running, they're only virtually, for the 17 ride, a straightaway behind our race leaders here. So quickly, Latham Joyner, Matthew Wood, Hafner, all these cats are going to work their way into some lap traffic here this evening. And for those guys that have the damage on their cars, unfortunately, they will probably be the first drivers to go a lap down here this evening. But we see another caution flag or two before they catch up to him here, and that could be the big break that they are looking for. As you take a look back here, we see a good battle brewing here between the 23 and the 14 Ryan. Is Mark Quinn Brewer able to keep that 23 of Ryan Haller back there at base? Mark Quinn looking to try to race his way back up through the field. There's another one of those damaged race cars. That's that 3 Ryan right there. The best friends, the Chewy Ryan. Rest in peace to Chewy in the chat right now. Is Chewy in that number 3 Ryan here this evening, and in all of our hearts he rolls there in that right now in the 14th position after taking that spot away from the 23 of Ryan Haller. But Haller trying to battle back here, there door to door here for that 14th and 15th position this evening. Aiden Lucas trying to hang on to his car here, got up into the outside fence right there, and that opens up the door for Applegate. Applegate able to quickly work down to his inside and take that 9th spot away from Aiden Lucas. So Aiden falls back into 10th as Wyatt Mickelson a little farther back here trying to hunt them both down. Wyatt, who started on the outside of the front row, got tied up in that first caution flag, now banks it off the outside fence. So does in the 14 rider Mark Quinn Brewer. Oh, baby, these drivers are playing with fire here this evening, man. We've seen that a few times of these cats just banking it off that outside fence, and they got to be very, very careful of that. You get into it a little too hard, you make that mistake, you push the car a little too far, and all of a sudden your night can be over in a quick hurry, especially for some drivers that may have gotten contact early on in this race and have already used their quick repair. As there goes that 3 machine of Latham Joyner. Joyner now around the 17 right of Jason Bogart. Bogart now the first car 1 lap down on the racetrack. Definitely not the way he wanted his day to get started here this evening, and obviously having heavy damage on that Ford Mustang. Seeing our race leaders go right on by him here, and now they're starting to hunt down some more of these drivers with damage as Jaden Porter sees our race leaders out of his rear view mirror, less than a straightaway away from potentially going a lap down here himself. Same with Michael Durham Jr. The 76 rider Zach Perry not too far in front of them, and for these cats, they gotta know that if they continue on this pace, if they continue to fall farther and farther back, they are gonna go a lap down and potentially even 2 laps down before the end of this stage here this evening, as they got just a little over 20 laps left to go here in stage number 1. And then they still got to try to get their cars repaired. They still got to try to get that lap back, and it's definitely not a good spot for them to be out there on the speedways. Miles the Monster was very hungry early on this evening and claiming a lot of cars and putting a lot of drivers into this position, into a tough position out there on the racetrack. Because then we do see Jordan Brinkley starting to fall backwards here. Brinkley already falling back behind Jordan Fisher, now losing a spot here to Nick Biddy as Biddy gets around him here as well early in this run. Now we see the number 7 rider, Caden Gargiulo. Gargiulo and that Team Watson number 7 ride would love to try to jump up here and work his way around that BHR number 11 machine. Evan Stewart having himself a solid run in the Majors Garage. AG's Designs number 37 ride there in 8th, with the Applegate machine back in 9th, and Aiden Lucas rounding at our top 10 here this evening. But it's all Latham Joyner, as you do see Joyner able to work himself around that 74 machine of Jaden Porter. So Jaden now the first car 1 lap down, but it won't be for long as the 3 ride going to try to make quick work here of the 00, and there goes Michael Durham Jr. Jr. now a lap down out there on the speedway, as well as man, these guys, that's what we talked about, man. It was going to take long for our race leaders to catch up to them, and unfortunately put them a lap down. As you do see the 74 rider Jaden Porter, he's looking for that extra little bit of speed here. Jaden wants to keep himself potentially into that free pass position. Looks like he will work his way around that 00 ride of Michael Durham Jr. And for Jaden Porter now in that free pass spot, he's just hoping that either a caution flag gets thrown or potentially, we see, no one else go a lap down or more issues. As now you do see the 00. That was a big hit right there for Michael Durham Jr. Heavy contact into that outside fence. That right front is absolutely tore to pieces here this evening. And for this number 00 Ryan, he's going to be struggling trying to navigate his way around this racetrack. This car is going to be hopping, skipping, jumping as you see this car trying to travel around the racetrack. He's got to really back up the pace here just to be able to make these corners, and unfortunately for the Grizzly Nicotine Pouches 00 Ryan, struggling back here. Now a lap down, no longer in that free pass position. Definitely not a spot that he was hoping to be here this evening. As out in front, Latham Joyner now going to put the 76 ride. That's Zach Perry. Perry now falls into that first car, 1 lap down out there on the speedway. And for the Busch Latte Camaro, he's looking to try to keep himself right here in that position. Knows that our race leader still got about 15 laps of racing action here this evening, but they got a pretty sizable gap between themselves in the next set of drivers to potentially go a lap down. Caleb Holloman down the front straightaway, just down across the line right there, as there's our race leader, so virtually about a straightaway away, but they start to run into a little bit faster, a little bit tougher drivers here in the next few laps, but I know they're going to be looking to try to jump up here, potentially put this 97 of Caleb Holloman, the 39 of Zach Clater, that 6 right of Joe David, Ryan Haller, all these drivers potentially a lap down before the end of this stage. As the Xfinity 10G number 23 ride of Ryan Haller, he's trying to go as fast as Xfinity here this evening as he gets up the racetrack there, has to roll the throttle without getting into the outside fence, and that's going to bring that 6 ride of Joe David quickly to his back bumper. Looks like the 23 really starting to struggle here. He's pushing up the racetrack, trying to keep himself out of that outside fence. In doing so, he's losing a ton of speed out there on the racetrack, and you do see Joe David and the 39 of Zach Clater able to make quick work of him, get around him, and unfortunately put him back now into the 19th position. As look out, he gets up into the fence. He's squirrely down the back straightaway. The 97 of Caleb Holloman just able to get up and out of the way right there and avoid heavy contact with that 23 ride. That was almost another caution flag, as now we do see another driver, Blair Sanders. Sanders parked out on the apron. Looks like Sanders is going to tow his car down pit road. Heartbreaker here for the 98 ride. Let's take a look here and see what happens as Saunders, unfortunately, looks like out of core number 2, maybe just gets a little loose, maybe gets up into the outside fence and then trying to correct it, trying to hang on to it there, ends up spinning it back up into the wall. Heavy right front damage here, and unfortunately the car just will not turn back up into the wall here in core number 3 and 4. Luckily enough, everyone else able to avoid contact there with him, and he gets down far enough on the apron as where this car comes to a stop. Luckily enough, it does not call a caution flag here on it, as that was definitely a solid possibility. Luckily enough, he's able to tow that car off of the speedway, and we get to keep on rocking and rolling here today as all these drivers, man, there's so many of them running into issues, but out in front, the battle's on here for this top spot. Obviously, Latham Joyner has been leading the way here. After we finally took that green flag, we were able to get some green flag laps. Latham was able to jump out in front, but Matthew Wood is stuck right here with him. Lap after lap after lap. Matthew has not let him walk away with this here, and he may have something left up his sleeve here for late in this race to maybe try to jump up and win this stage here this evening. Jordan Fisher right there as well. Fish has been working his way up and through the field here and through the top 10, and he's not too far back here. He's only been a second back from all these other drivers as Julie coming in says, let's go number 17, go Jason. Unfortunately for Jason Bogarts, he's already ran into some issues here today, and look out, there was almost a big issue right there for Caleb Holloman after hard contact into the outside fence. Man, he almost came back down the racetrack and into our second place driver, Matthew Wood. Wood almost got absolutely ran over right there. Luckily enough, he's able to collect his car, keep on rolling here, and seeing if he can try to reel back in Latham Joyner as the laps continue to click down here in stage number 1. So stage number 1 quickly coming to a close, and here comes a big run from the 16. Oh, baby, here we go. Matthew Wood down low. He may have been sitting back there just waiting, anticipating, and now here he comes with a big hit of steam down to the inside of this 3 machine, looking to steal this top spot away. As the 16 down low, Latham and Matthew Wood door to door. Matthew gets loose there at a quarter number 4, and that's exactly what Latham Joyner wanted to see. Needed to see that 16 rod get loose, sends him back a little bit farther here. Now he's going to have to try to hold him off for a few more laps as Matthew tries to recollect that car, tries to get his car kind of figure back out here, trying to close that gap again. But even just doing so, that little bit of a slide may have been enough to burn up that tires, and unfortunately sent him back here to finish second in this stage. There's only 4 more laps left to go here in stage number 1. It's Latham Joyner out in front, continuing to lead the way is what's good, Rodney Stewart. Rodney, how are you, brother? Rodney coming in says, good evening, Peacemaker. Says, let's go. Evan hammered down, cheered on Evan Stewart here this evening. Right now, Evan rolls in that 8th position. Now, we did see a few drivers here go down pit road. Michael Durham Jr. is down pit side here in the 0-0 ride. We did see, unfortunately, here look like Michael Ponder Jr. back down pit road. Potentially Ryan Haller also coming down pit side there. So, few drivers making some unscheduled pit stops here this evening. Jason Bogarts also came down pit road. So, interesting maneuvers by some of these drivers. Here we go. The battle once again at the front of the field starting to heat up. Latham Joyner trying to keep Matthew Wood back there behind him. Matthew trying to win another stage here this evening as James Jones says, let's go Fish. Cheering on the Fish here this evening as Jordan Fisher rolls there in that 3rd position. Here comes a big move back down low into core number 3. Nice and easy out of core number 4. Did Matthew Wood hit it right here? Can he clear him? No, he can't. They're door to door back down across the line. The final lap here in stage number 1. So our final stage here this evening, our first stage break coming up here this evening, and for these drivers, another green flag restart. Definitely not what they want to see, but once again, Latham Joyner able to hold off Matthew Wood. Wood stays back in second. He's going to try to mount another challenge, but nice and easy down and out of core number 4. It is going to be Latham Joyner picking up the top spot and winning stage number 1 here this evening. So Latham Joyner picks up the first stage win. Matthew Wood there in second. The 19 rider Jordan Fisher in position number 3. Nick Biddy back in 4th. And then we see Jordan Brinkley there rounding out our top 5 with Caden Gargiulo, Grant Applegate, Evan Stewart, Jacob Hefner, and Wyatt Mickelson, our top 10 here this evening. So our top 10 all earning some stage points right there, all getting that extra little bit of points into their back pocket. And we'll get ready here for some pit stops, potentially. We'll have to wait and see what drivers and everyone's going to do here as a lot of these guys able to, luckily enough, stay on the lead lap as our race leaders were right there ready to put a whole bunch more lap down now for Joe David. He is in that free pass position. He's in the lucky dog spot here this evening. So if he can get that lucky dog, work his way back onto the lead lap here this evening, be a very good break there for Joe David here today. So you do see every one of our lead lap drivers start to head down pit road. Doesn't look like anybody is going to mess up or pass up this opportunity to come down pit side here. Obviously, strategy not going to play that much of a key role here, and it doesn't look like any of our lead lap cars will stay out on the track as Joe David going to get that wave around the iRacing pace car right there. And luckily enough for Joe David, he's going to be able to get back onto the lead lap. Great break there for him as Sure Haller says, come on. Ryan Haller says, hit it, as Bill Fisher says, good luck, Fish. Cheering on Mr. Fisher here this evening as well as all these drivers down pit road here. Trying to make sure they get a great pit stop here. And we'll have to wait and see who wins this battle off pit road. Looks like the 3 ride of Latham Joyner able to stay in the top spot here. So Latham with a great pit stop, able to keep that 16 right of Matthew Wood back there at bay, as I do believe Fisher able to come out in 3rd. Jordan Brinkley there in 4th. Nick Biddy falls back to 5th. Caden Gargiulo, Evan Stewart, Applegate, Wyatt Mickelson, and Hayden Lucas rounding out our top 10. Down off pit road, and that means we'll get ready for another restart here. Another opportunity here for drivers to try to put themselves into a winning strategy here this evening. Now, this is going to become very, very interesting for a lot of these drivers. It's going to become a very fun turn of events as we do have a few drivers that are going to be taking some wave rounds here. The guys that just pitted before that caution flag came out. Now, I'm not sure what the strategy call was on that, as they will have a little bit older tires than the rest of the field, and they'll be still at the back of the pack here. And obviously, they will also be multiple laps down out there on the speedway as well, as they were going down multiple laps by making those green flag pit stops. This is in a racetrack that you can come down pit road and get a pit stop in without having tire issues or without going a couple laps down by, being how slow you got to go down pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out for them and if that strategy will work and if they'll be able to somehow battle their way back on the lead lap. As we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing, Latham Joyner out in front of the field here has that race lead, and he is ready to set these drivers back loose. And now we've seen some craziness on these restarts here this evening. Do we see another one here today? Do we have another issue here on this restart, or will we keep it clean and green here once again and get some good laps under our belt once again? Our first couple restarts, we didn't even make it back to the start finish line before that caution flag was thrown back out. Let's see if this track took a little bit of rubber. Maybe drivers got a little bit more comfortable behind the wheel on these restarts. As here we go, back to green flag racing here at Dover International Speedway. Latham Joyner, a great restart right there. Quickly jumps up, clears that number 16 of Matthew Wood, as it looks like, again, everyone able to make it down through that Geico restart zone. Everyone keeps their cars pointed in the right direction, and everyone's able to keep on battling here today. So a great break there for everyone to not have another issue like we did on our initial green flag and our second caution flag here, as we didn't even make it back to the start finish line, but we're able to keep on battling here in this one. Is Dude Guy, what's good, dude? Dude Guy coming in showing the love with a like on the stream over there on Facebook. How are you, Brian? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day. Playford Cheats also coming in, dropping that thumbs up here on the broadcast. You shout out there to Playford coming in, showing the love here in this one. There's Matthew Wood. This time doesn't look like he's messing around. He wants that race lead, and I don't know if he's going to want to give it up as he quickly jumps up, moves around that 0-3 of Latham Joyner. Joyner slides back behind him into position number 2 as last time around. That was not only Matthew's quickest lap of this race, but it was the quickest lap of the race here out of any of the drivers on the Speedway. So the last time around, this number 16 ride faster than anybody else has been all day long. And for the 16 ride, we'll have to wait and see if he keeps up that pace, if he looks to just try to pull away and open up a big enough gap between himself and Latham Joyner that Latham maybe can't catch him here later on in this run, especially if we see a 50-lap run here to the end of stage number 2, as stage 2 will come to a close at the completion of lap number 100 here this evening. Just at the end of our halfway marker here today is when we will see our second stage come to a close, where we will hand out some more points to these drivers inside the top 10 and some extra bonus points towards the playoffs as well for the stage winner here this evening, as Matthew Wood has this race lead and Latham Joyner back there in second. Jordan Fisher, the Fish, he's right there with him here now. Jordan, he started back a little deeper there on that last restart. He was able to work his way up and in to position number 3 after working his way through the top 10 and through the top 5 there to put himself up and into third, get himself some very valuable stage points here this evening, and then obviously put that 19 ride right here into a battle at the front of the field. As the 57 of Applegate rolls there in position number 4 and looking for more now. Applegate, one of those drivers that got tied up in that first lap, our initial green flag right about there. They didn't even make it back to the start finish line before this 57 ride was up into the inside fence, into the 51 ride of Wyatt Mickelson, and all tore up. But here he is battling back in stage number 2, back inside the top 5 as Caden Gargiulo up 18 positions, rolls there in the 5th spot on the Speedway. Jordan Brinkley right behind him there in position number 6. Evan Stewart back in 7th with Nick Biddy, Aiden Lucas, and Wyatt Mickelson rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack. Trent Johns there in 11th with Jacob Hefner back in position number 12. Then we see Marquin Brewer, the 38 of Keegan Huey, and the number 3 machine. That is the Chewy Ride, the best friends machine of Ethan Greek there. Greek rolls in position number 15 on the racetrack. Zach Clater back in 16th with Joe David, our driver that just got the lucky dog, the wave around. He's up now into position number 17 with Caleb Holloman there in the 18th position. Zach Perry, Jaden Porter, Ryan Haller, Jason Bogart, Michael Durham Jr., Michael Ponder Jr., Blair Saunders and Nick Jensen rounding out our 26-car field. Now, for some of these drivers that had issues there in the opening first couple caution flags, they are now still have some pretty good damage on their race cars here. You take a look at that 74 ride, the Tim Hortons machine, the Team Hortons ride. Obviously, still some pretty solid damage on it. Unfortunately for Jaden, you know, he's still battling here. He is a lap down, scored back in the 20th position, and he's going to need a whole lot more caution flags here to try to get this thing repaired, try to get himself back into the battle here this evening. As of right now, he's at risk of potentially going another lap down if he keeps up this pace. Obviously, that is just not ideal here. You fall multiple laps down. There's so many drivers already one lap down that, you know, potentially minimal caution flags here throughout the rest of this race could potentially be, you know, a tough and very long day here for that Team Hortons number 74 of Matthew Wood here this evening. Is out in front, that or 74 ride, sorry, of Jaden Porter here this evening is Matthew Wood out in front of the field here. Matthew leading the way in that number 16 ride. The Red Bull Racing Machine continues to lead this one as Latham Joyner right there behind him. Now it looks more like what we saw in stage number 1 here. Just kind of opposite ends here. We saw Latham out in front and Latham trying to hold off Matthew Wood out there on the speedway. Now it's kind of the roles reversed. Matthew was able to jump up, take that lead off that restart, and he's out in front here now and keeping Latham back there at bay. Now Latham will have to try to play this game to try to figure out what he needs to do, where he needs to be out there on the speedway to try to find that extra speed or momentum to be able to slide up and take stage win number 2 away from everybody else here this evening as well, including Matthew Wood. Matthew is our season points leader here on the stream, so he has been able to keep himself kind of out in front. He's picked up already, what, 6 wins now? Oh, baby, look out! Maybe a little contact right there. Matthew goes washing up the racetrack right there. Let's take a look at it as the 3 ride was right on his back bumper here. Now, this is going to cause issues. If these two are racing hard already in this race, Matthew probably not going to be very happy about this. He was maybe a little sideways already. It obviously doesn't help with the 3 ride right there on his back bumper. I'm not sure if we're going to see if there was contact or not. Doesn't look like we'll get a great angle at it, but maybe a little neck code, maybe a little contact right there, and that's what kind of just looses the rear end there for that 16 ride. He's got to catch it. Honestly, car gets loose there with that contact and just kind of washes him up the racetrack almost into the outside fence. Now he has to just roll into the throttle to keep himself from getting into damage or carnage or anything else right there. Coming down the racetrack and into the 19 ride of Jordan Fisher, as Fisher is looking to try to take that second spot quickly away from him. Unfortunately, wasn't able to complete that pass, and Matthew Wood will stay in position number 2. And now Matthew, he's going to have an opportunity here as he can race to the back bumper of that number 3 machine. Now he kind of has that in the back of his memory book there on what just happened to him and how he was raced here fairly early in this race. We're not even halfway through this one yet this evening, so it's going to be interesting to see on who's going to be able to make some moves, who's going to be in which position late in this race, and who may be the one to want to put that nudge in and maybe go for the bump and run and try to pick themselves up a Miles the Monster trophy here from Dover International Speedway here today. As Latham Joyner, he's looking to try to pick up the dump. He's out in front. He's leading this race and trying to keep Matthew Wood back there at bay, but Matthew is trying to close that gap, trying to hunt him back down as Jordan Fisher, the Fish, right there once again in tow, trying to hunt down those top 2 cars in front of him. Applegate right there in 4th with Caden Gargiulo. Now rounding out our top 5 is Jordan Brinkley trying to work his way back inside the top 5 here this evening. He does have Evan Stewart, Nick Biddy, Aiden Lucas, the 51 right of Wyatt Mickelson right there. Mickelson there rounding out our top 10 here this evening. Then the 95 ride, that is Jacob Hafner. Hafner back there in position number 11. with Trent Johns, Mark Wynn Brewer, Keegan Huey, Zach Glader, our top 15 out there on the Speedway. Then we see Ethan Greek there in the 16th position. Joe David a little farther back here in position number 17. Now, David was one of our free pass recipients there. Now, obviously, the 6th ride quite a bit off the pace right now, and really no one in front of him. And I do believe our race leader is not too far away from these guys, and that's tough news for Jaden Porter. Porter not too far away from potentially going another lap down for the 6th rider, Joe David, who's currently on the lead lap. Obviously, if the race leaders catch him again, put him another lap down, he could potentially get another lucky dog, but obviously not won the race that he's had so far here this evening. Never getting the lucky dog is it's a good thing when you need it, but you just never want to need it out there on the Speedway. You always want to keep yourself clean and out of trouble and not having problems out there on the Speedway where you got to bank on trying to get that lucky dog or having a good thing happen. And there we go. Caution flag will come back out virtually halfway through this first stage, and you do see a couple of these drivers tied up and turned around right there. One of those being Trent Johns in the Rogue Energy number 8 machine. Let's take a look and see what happens here, as maybe a little contact, maybe a little help here, but it looks like the 8 up the racetrack tries to get a good run at a quarter 4. Unfortunately, bounces it off the outside fence, and that's just going to get him stuffed up there. Car's going to kick around, and then everyone trying to avoid him right here. Unfortunately, for a couple of them, they can't avoid him, but they can't avoid the rest of the Miles the Monster here this evening. One of those drivers being Ryan Haller. Haller, heavy contact into the fence here. I do believe the other one was the number 97 of Caleb Holloman. As they see this car go around here, they see what's happening. They dive down to the inside, and they both just lose it. Going down onto the apron, they both lose the handle of their race cars, and, oh, man, heavy hit there for Ryan Haller. Heavy hit there for Caleb Holloman, as Holloman just trying to scoot his way through here as well. See if we can jump on board with him here and get a good look, see what happens, as they are not expecting this. They're expecting to just keep their foot in the throttle. You see that red line going up, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a car parked sideways right in front of them, and then this car getting light on his toes there, rear end stepping out and around. Then as he comes back down the racetrack right there, he ends up clipping the 17 rider, Jason Bogart. Bogart just trying to get through there, just trying to mind his own P's and Q's, and all of a sudden, as the 97 comes down the track, bam, clips him right there. Heavy contact for the number 17 there, as well, as he ends up into the outside fence, getting some more damage here on that Flex Seal ride. Looks like they're going to need another couple rolls there of that Flex Seal, as this thing may have a couple holes in the gas tank or the radiator of that 17 right here this evening. Lots of beating and banging, and definitely going to have something to try to keep everything inside this number 17 ride, as we'll get ready to stack him up, rack him up, try to go back to green flag racing, as everybody did come down pit side here. All these drivers did make a pit stop, so that's a good break here. Obviously going to be some tire strategy, some other things, and obviously some adjustments for some of these drivers, as they get 5 sets of tires back there behind pit wall. So they got a good amount if they use some up at the end of stage number 1. Maybe they put a new set on here at the end of stage number, or at the end of this caution flag. Obviously, stage number 2 coming to a close here in a quick hurry, so we could see probably a lot of split decisions there. Some drivers may be electing to use those fresh tires, trying to get a solid positioning going into that final stage, or potentially using those tires to try to pick up some very valuable stage points here this evening. Other drivers may want to just save that extra set of tires for later in this race, where that could really play a bigger benefactor for them here. You know, if we get a late race caution flag, you know, inside the last 20, 15, 10 laps, those new tires compared to old tires going to make a world of difference. So we'll have to wait and see if lap times are in comparison, or if any drivers start to navigate their way up and through the field. Alrighty, as the lights are off, the official iRacing pace car here at Dover International Speedway, it will dive back down pit road. Latham joiner Matthew Wood, our front row, getting ready to see another green flag here, as another restart here from the Monster Mile here this evening. And oh, baby, some more contact like we saw at the start of this race. Drivers getting stacked up on the front straightaway. Everyone trying to work their way through it as Evan Stewart runs into problems here. Looks like Evan Stewart going to spin the tires here on this restart. Now, he may have had a little help here. That 34 ride of Aiden Lucas all over his back bumper, and all of a sudden, yeah, it just looks like not a whole lot of fire out of that 37. They both get into each other, and then you see that 34 up into the outside fence, and everyone just trying to figure out where to go here. As now there's some fairly serious front end damage to that 37 ride of Evan Stewart. Some solid damage there as well to the number I believe that was the 34 machine of Aiden Lucas. So we'll have to keep a close eye on both those drivers and how they're going to be able to keep on navigating here today. As Latham Joyner, though, out in front. Latham leading this race with Matthew Wood back there in position number 2. Applegate and Jordan Brinkley right there ready to make some moves as well. As we do see last time around, Latham Joyner able to lay down the quickest lap of this race. Not of his race, of the entire race. Now with the newest quick time here this evening for that number 3 machine in Latham Joyner. He's out in front, continue to lead the way, continue to just try to keep all these other drivers back there at bay here in this second stage, looking for back-to-back stage wins here on the evening. Is Caleb Ramsey. What's good, Caleb? Caleb coming in, showing the love, dropping that like on the stream over there on Facebook. How are you, brother? How you doing this evening? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day. Is out in front. Latham Joyner clicks off another lap here. We got about 15 laps left to go until the completion of stage number 2 here this evening, where we will see another caution flag, another opportunity for pit strategy, and obviously for a lot of these drivers, that could be a big benefactor for late in this race. Setting yourself up, trying to figure out what you need to do here on the second half of this event to try to put yourself up and into the winning situation here, the winning position on that final lap, and potentially down across the line to put yourself up and into victory lane. You got to make sure everything's working perfect, not only the race car, but your skills out there on the speedway, and then obviously that pit strategy has to be on point. If you want to be up in victory lane here with the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League, you virtually got to be picture perfect out there on the speedway to try to put yourself up and into the winning position here this evening. As Latham Joyner continues to try to stretch out that race lead, as Matthew Wood back in position number 2 here, still trying to hang with them, not wanting to fall back here, as he does have Applegate and Jordan Fisher right there, as well as Fisher unfortunately going to slide back now into position number 4 as Applegate works himself around him, but look out, Applegate gets loose. Oh, look out, Applegate's around. Look out, caution flag back out on the racetrack. Grant Applegate going for a ride down and out of corner number 4 in a heartbreaker here for that Finley Farms ride, as, oh man, able to make that pass, able to jump up and get around Jordan Fisher. Then all of a sudden, he's going to throw it all away here on corner exit for the 57 ride as the Finley Farms machine right through corner exit here. Looks like he's starting to roll back onto the throttle, and that rear end just starts to step out and around on him here. It is a very hot, slick day here at Dover. Unfortunately, Applegate's going to find out the tough way right here as that car slides sideways, trying to get the hang of it, trying to hold on to it. He was able to potentially save it, and then there's contact between him and the 19 right. Obviously, the 19 of Jordan Fisher not going to be expecting the 57 ride to be parked there, virtually getting no speed, no takeoff there. Into corner number 4, runs into the back end of him, nowhere for him to go. Turns him around and puts Applegate down into the inside fence, looking a whole lot like Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace earlier today, as we saw that battle, and obviously how it worked out for the car in front of the other car. As you slide around, you start to slide, you get up and across somebody's nose, and all of a sudden you get turned around in a quick hurry in a tore-up race car. And unfortunately for Bubba, he found out the hard way here this evening, as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing. Another attempt here at this green flag, and we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we've seen still a few more drivers run into issues trying to keep these tires underneath of them, and later and later we get into these runs, the more and more these tires get wore out, the tougher and tougher that these restarts are going to be for majority of these drivers. So you got to be very, very cautious on, where you are, or what you're doing, or how you're going to be rolling out there on the speedways. You do see Jaden Porter able to get a lap back right there. That's a great break for the 74 riders. I do believe that will put him back onto the lead lap here this evening. So that's a Great break there for Jaden Porter, as you do see Applegate still down pit road, trying to get his car fixed back up. Zach Clater down pit side. Aiden Luke is getting some repairs done to his beautiful GOAT Racing diecast number 34 machine. Caden Gargiulo still down pit road here. He's able to just get rolling back out onto the speedway. He's going to be careful as he does not want to go a lap down there on pit road. Luckily enough, stays in front of that pace car and will keep himself on the lead lap as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here. It's going to be a short shootout to the end of stage number 2 here this evening, and that's going to make things very, very fun for all of us here today, man. That's going to make things very interesting in a quick hurry to see kind of how it's going to play out, who's going to end up where, and who's going to be able to try to put themselves into a good position here this evening. Alrighty, Latham Joyner, Matthew Wood out in front, getting ready to see that green flag fly here once again this evening. So the action about to get started here. Drivers getting ready to go back to battle here today. Who is going to come away with stage win number 2, as we will see probably about a, let me see here, we're going to see about an 8-lap shootout to finish off this second stage this evening. Is nice and easy down through the Geico restart zone. Oh, look out, the 14 ride Mark Quinn Brewer spins the tires, gets into the outside fence. Luckily enough, everyone able to scatter, everyone able to avoid running over him. We keep it clean and green, and we keep on battling. Is out in front. Latham Joyner holds on to the race lead, as now we do see Jordan Brinkley working to the outside here with Matthew Wood. Wood trying to stick right there to his inside, nice and easy down through corner 3 and 4 in the 16 ride of Matthew Wood, able to try to hang on to that second spot, but the 11 ride of Brinkley still staying right there to his outside. Now look out, contact between Fisher and Brinkley. Brinkley up into the outside fence. Look out, here comes the 8 ride of Trent Johns. Johns comes in and absolutely finishes him off from the top ropes, comes down and slams him into that inside fence. Heavy hit there. You see the 90 or the 11 ride of Jordan Brinkley will tow that car down pit side here as the caution flag will come back out. As man, it's a tough break for a driver battling up there inside the top 5. Obviously battling to the outside here of Matthew Wood. Then all of a sudden Fisher, Fear the Fish ride coming in. It's a fearful ride out there for a reason, as you never know when that fish will strike. And here, unfortunately, the Fear of the Fish HB Racing ride just gets up the track here a little bit too much. Obviously, Brinkley through the middle, struggling a little bit there through the center of the corner, and he's trying to come down there a little bit too, looks like. So it does look like Brinkley maybe trying to pinch the 19 ride down. They're both kind of traveling down the track a little bit, and some contact made there nonetheless to that right front corner, into the left rear quarter panel of the JHGO, the JH Go Raps ride, and unfortunately he's just going to get turned around right here, and as he kind of gets knocked sideways a little bit loose here, obviously trying to correct it, but all of a sudden there's more contact here as Brinkley, unfortunately nothing he could do right here. Front end gets launched off the racetrack, hard contact into that outside fence, and then all the way from a little farther back here, Trent Johns trying to work his way through it, sees that car spinning around, hoping that he's going to stay kind of towards the middle, shoots to the bottom lane to try to avoid him. Unfortunately, the 11's coming down low, and he just can't make up his mind right there. Unfortunately, ends up slamming into him, and for that Rogue Energy number 8 machine, heavy contact there into the driver's side door. You see the toe leg, front end parts, everything tore up on the 11 car and this 8 ride, and for both drivers, their night just got a whole lot longer. As you do see the 8, unfortunately, still parked down pit side. Looks like the 11 rider Jordan Brinkley is taking his car off of the racetrack altogether, so looks like Brinkley may be done and out of this race, as we'll get them all Ready to roll here once again. This may complete our stage. I'm not 100% sure. We still got a few laps left to go before this stage comes to an end. So we'll have to wait and see how this one happens. As Darlene says, get to booty. 57 Stewart. Go, Evan, go. Love ya, says Darlene here this evening. As Rodney says Woods is rolling. He is rolling out there, man. There's a lot of these guys, man, that have been putting on some great laps and really putting together some great action here for all of us this evening. And the action is not done yet. We still got a lot of racing left to go here. And obviously, the lights are off the official iRacing pace car. That will bring it to a close here for stage number 2. So again, stage number 2 will get some more points handed out to the top 10. An extra bonus point to our stage winner here this evening. And that's very important for any of these drivers that are up inside the top 10, wanting to make the playoffs, or also wanting to, already being locked into the playoffs during that extra bonus point to help you get through each and every round and try to put yourself up and into, potentially that championship 4 to pick up the championship here this year. So for Matthew Wood, he'll be looking to try and add another one to his record book, into his ever-growing points lead here over everybody else. Latham Joyner hoping to steal another one away from him here as Latham, this time a little bit slower down there, gets a late fire down through the Geico restart zone. That kept everyone kind of on their toes, and that allowed that number 3 to get a very good launch and quickly clear that 16 run of Matthew Wood. He's got a nice lead down through corner number 1 and 2, and he's hoping to keep that lead here for another few laps, or hope to see another caution flag before the end of this stage, before Matthew could potentially even catch up to him here this evening. As Aiden Luke is trying to work his way inside the top 10, so is an Evan Stewart. They're just on the outside of the top 10 looking in. Is Zach Berry now into the 10th position. Not too long ago we saw Berry almost going a lap down, or actually going a lap down in that 76 right now. Here he is up inside the top 10. Same with Ethan Greek, Joe David. A lot of these drivers battling back from early incidences here, now having themselves up inside the top 10 on the Speedway. As everyone battling, everyone trying to race their way into a points position. As Matthew Wood down low, he's looking to try to steal this race lead away from Latham Joyner. Joyner gets up, scrapes the outside fence ever so slightly. Does Matthew clear him? It looks like he will. So Matthew Wood will jump out in front, and he will win stage number 2 here this evening. So Matthew Wood picks up the second stage win here today. So the second stage win goes to the 16 machine, the Red Bull Ride, picking up that stage 2 win. The extra bonus point that comes with it. Now getting stage points is Latham Joyner, Jordan Fisher there in that 19 machine. Jacob Hafner there in 4th, working his way back up through the top 10 there to get another solid top 5 run. And then we see Nick Biddy, Wyatt Mickelson back in 6th, the 38 Keegan Huey, Joe David, Ethan Greek, Zach Perry rounding out our top 10 here this evening. As Rodney says, that's Evan's grandmother. His grandmother in the chat. We love to see that. We love to see that. How are you, Grandma Stewart, coming in, showing the love here in this one. As the Ghetto Booty 57 Stewart, he's out in front. He's doing some good stuff. He's had some good battles out there, and he's still, rolling here on the lead lap, just outside of a points-paying position there in the 11th spot to finish off that stage, but still in it to win it here this evening. And we've seen Evan come alive in the final stage out there on the Speedway, so we'll have to wait and see if he's got something left up his sleeve here for later in this race. And you see Aiden Lucas, Caden Gargiulo, a lot of these drivers coming down pit side. Applegate, though, does not come down pit road. This is a bold move here by Grant Applegate. Applegate did come down pit road there on lap number 91. And for the Finley Farms number 57 ride, Grant Applegate now going to be our race leader here. Everyone else going to try to race their way off of pit lane here. Everyone going to be looking to try to get a good pit stop in, so that way they can try to keep themselves up towards the front of the field and potentially out of trouble, or potentially put themselves into more trouble there at the front of the field. And it's going to be a tight race off pit road. I'm not sure. Latham Joyner may have beat Matthew Wood there off of pit lane. It'll be a close call right there. But you see everyone else making their way, navigate their way down and out of pit lane here this evening. As Applegate, though, able to jump and leapfrog around all of them, as the 57 ride now has this race lead. He'll be out in front of the field and potentially has an extra set of tires back there behind pit wall, or potentially just try to play this strategy perfectly to give himself this track position here in this final stage. Do you see some of our lap down drivers headed down pit side now, as here comes Michael Ponder Jr. Here comes the 00 ride of Michael Durham Jr. down pit road. It does look like we see Jason Bogart staying out here. He's looking for that wave around the lucky dog, or just a wave to try to get himself back onto the lead lap here this evening. So a potential good break here for the 17 ride. There it is. There's the wave. He's able to get a lap back here this evening. So a good break there for him, as Jaden Porter back on the lead lap here as well. Jaden at the back of our lead lap drivers. He scored back in the 18th position. Now trying to catch up to the rear of the field here, knowing that he's got to go if he wants to be in that lineup and ready to rock and roll here for our final stage of the day. It's Grant Applegate, Latham Joyner, 1 and 2 out there on the Speedway. Matthew Wood now scored back in third as he lost that race off of pit road. Jordan Fisher there in fourth with Jacob Hafner, Nick Biddy, 51 of Wyatt Mickelson, the 6th rider Joe David Evans Stewart there in 9th, and Zach Perry rounding out our top 10, getting ready to go back to green flag racing as Applegate has the race lead. He has command, he has control of this restart. So it'll be interesting to see where this 57 decides to fire. Does he fire early? Does he fire late in the box? He's trying to keep all these drivers kind of back there on their tippy toes here this evening. As there we go, he's going to fire kind of right in the middle, and that does catch him a little flat-footed. Able to get a great launch and a great restart there for that 57 ride. Looks like everyone else able to keep it straight. Everyone else able to keep on rolling here. No caution flag, and we keep it clean and green as Grant Applegate leads the way here, as we're just over halfway through this race. As Stone Edge Sim Sports says, car had too much damage to continue. Unfortunately, I tried going low, and then he rolled down and I locked it up. So that's a tough break right there, man. Tough break, tough hits, and obviously a lot of damage there for the 8 machine of Trent Johns here this evening. Definitely never something you want to see out there on the Speedway, and all that damage. And unfortunately, looks like a few drivers already having their nights come to an early close. But right now, it's Grant Applegate out in front. He's got control of this race, and the fresh air really helping out this 57 ride. His last time around, Applegate laid down not only his fastest lap of this race, but the fastest lap of this race by about a 1.5 tenths of a second here. 0.15 seconds quicker than anyone else here this evening. No one has been closer or faster than this 57 ride was the last time around. So heck of a lap right there for Applegate, looking to try to keep that up and trying to keep himself out in front, and maybe trying to run away from Latham Joyner, Matthew Wood, Jordan Fisher, Hafner, who now rounds out our top 5 here this evening. As we're halfway in, halfway to go here today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to jump into a PeaceMaker Gaming Crank It Up. So what we want you to do right now is crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on PeaceMaker Gaming. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session right there. And some drivers moving forward, other drivers falling back here during our longest run of the day. Now, almost 40 laps of green flag racing action here this evening. And these drivers about ready to start to make their way down pit side here. Green flag pit stops could be on the horizon. Now, unfortunately, one of those drivers that were moving forward all of a sudden fell back. We saw it there during that crank it up. Let's take a look back at it as unfortunately here, contact as Nick Biddy gets into Evan Stewart. Stewart ends up going for a slide down here into quarter number 3 and 4. Here's Biddy down to the inside, makes contact there with that left rear quarter panel. Now, luckily enough for Evan Stewart, able to not only keep himself out of the wall, but able to keep that car from going around. He keeps on strolling here on the Speedway, and for the 37, he does not only lose the 6th position there to the 32, but falls back into about the 9th spot on the Speedway. But now, as he's got that car rolling once again, he's able to work himself now around Wyatt Mickelson, as Mickelson is falling backwards here. He got passed by Aiden Lucas, and now he's in a tight fight here for position number 9 on the Speedway between himself and Caden Gargiulo. Gargiulo will jump up and take that spot away from Wyatt Mickelson, so Mickelson sliding backwards here, now into the 10th position as all these drivers starting to figure out what they need to do and how they need to try to pick up the win. And one of them's the 19 ride for all the Fish fans in the stands. That's the last thing you want to see. Here is the 19 ride has to tow that car down pit road. It looks like Fisher trying to work his way down pit lane here. Gets it a little too hot. Trying to make that left-hand turn. Unfortunately, can't turn hard enough. And all of a sudden ends up into the sand barriers here at the entry to pit lane. This is a heartbreaker for all the Hardy Designs, HB Racing, and the Jordan Fisher fans in the stands here. As the Fish fans, unfortunately, that one is going to leave a bad taste in your mouth right there, as Fisher just makes that mistake, gets in there a little too hot, can't make that left-hand turn to head down pit side. Unfortunately, gets into those sand barriers. Now, in like real-life racing, those things in iRacing, they do not move, and it looks like Fisher has taken his car not only off the racetrack, but out of this race. We do see Jacob Hafner also down pit side. Looks like he's trying to get his work done to the 95 ride. Jason Bogart now down pit side. Same with Zach Later in the 39 ride. Nick Biddy in the 32 also heads down pit road. But now I do believe this is a extended pit stop here for Jacob Hafner. I'm not sure what's wrong with this 95 ride, but he came down pit road a few laps to go and potentially a penalty down pit side here for this 95 ride, and it looks like maybe his night has come to a tough finish here as well. So let's take a look at this 95 as he's trying to head down pit side. He's trying to get this car down pit road here. He's able to get down pit side. Just looks like maybe a little too fast right there, and potentially a pit road speeding penalty on pit entry there for the 95 ride, and that may be the extended trip down pit side. The hole down on pit lane as here he comes rolling back out onto the racetrack. Now for the 95 ride, that is going to set him quite a ways back, and that may have potentially taken him out of the running here this evening. Biden, we see a couple caution flags or a couple opportunities for him to get some wave around, some lucky dogs, or any way for him to try to get back onto the lead lap here today. As Applegate, though, continue to lead the way here. Applegate out in front, has that 95 right in front of him, and there's our race leader and our second-place driver. Both cars banking it off the outside fence right there. Both able to keep on rolling. Hopefully not too much damage to either Applegate or Matthew Wood, as Latham Joyner back there in position number 3. Aiden Lucas there in 4th. Evan Stewart now into the 5th position here as Aiden Lucas, late in this run, he has been moving here through the field. That 34 line has shown some great speed here later in the run, as now you do see Latham Joyner. Looks like Latham gonna make the late race call to come down pit road, and it's gonna be another huge mistake trying to head down pit road as the 3 ride tries to make the late call to head down pit side. He's able to just make that commitment call, but unfortunately not able to avoid the sand barriers here, and unfortunately they are going to strike again. They are going to claim another car, and just like Fisher, Joyner having some serious front end damage after clobbering those safer barriers down on pit lane. Man, that is a heartbreaker here. There's a lot of drivers that unfortunately have ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time and have ended up with some pretty serious damage on their race cars here. And you look at another one right there. That is Jaden Porter. Right now, Jaden is still rolling in about the 5th position here as the 74 right has a ton of damage on that race car. He's just banking on potentially seeing a caution flag fly here as we do see our race leaders. Applegate, Matthew Wood, Aiden Lucas all coming down pit side here as Jaden Porter, he is going to race his way back onto the lead lap here, staying out. Zach Perry will as well in the 76 ride, but they can't wait much longer before they have to come down pit road themselves. But this may be a last-ditch effort to potentially put themselves into a winning situation here this evening. So they're going to try to run this stage out a little bit longer. Unfortunately for Jaden Porter, can't wait too much longer as the Tim Hortons number 74 does make that hard left-hand turn, does head down pit side as Applegate down and out of pit lane here. Great pit stop there for the 57 ride. And now we do see the 16 of Matthew Wood. Oh no, this is a tough break here for Matthew Wood fans in the stands. It looks like Matthew Wood potentially a penalty down pit road. And Matthew Wood's got a hole down pit lane, and so doesn't Aiden Lucas. Oh man, this one may have just went exactly Grant Applegate's way here this evening, as Matthew Wood and the number 34 both having penalties down pit road, potentially both just taking themselves out of the running for this win here this evening. Finally, here we go. Matthew able to put his foot to the throttle, roll back out here. Here comes Aiden Lucas as well down pit road and back out of the racetrack. Unfortunately for these drivers, they are now a lap, almost 2 laps behind Grant Applegate. As Applegate down into corner number 1 here, he's going to see that 34 down low. He's going to put him 2 laps down out on the speedway. That's a tough spot to be if you're Aiden Lucas. Obviously having a fast car there late in that run. Looked like he may have had the best late race speed here this evening. And all of a sudden, with those penalties down pit side, the 34 and that 16 ride both may be out of contention of this race here this evening. Now, you can never say never. They can always battle back. We could see a bunch of late race caution flags, but as of right now, Matthew Wood, he sits back in that 13th position, and he finds himself not the first car 1 lap down. He is about the 7th car 1 lap down out there on the speedway. As of right now, our 7th place driver, Keegan Huey. Huey is currently the first car 1 lap down out on the speedway. Actually, there's a lot of cars that are still a lap down as the 76 ride of Zach Perry still yet to come down pit lane here. But I do believe after Applegate, the next car that's on the lead lap here is Wyatt Mickelson right now in that 51 ride. So we'll have to keep an eye out here and see when this 76 of Zach Perry decides to come down pit side, as Perry still yet to make his final and green flag pit stop here this evening. And for the 57 ride of Grant Applegate, he's currently the only other driver on the lead lap here this evening. Everyone else is still a lap down or better back behind this 76 ride. So if we do see a caution flag right about now, it would play into perfect hands here for Zach Perry and for Grant Applegate, ideally, as Applegate obviously will have older tires than Zach Perry, but it would play perfectly here for Zach Perry to get a yellow flag right now. If something happened, if someone went around, it would be perfect here for him, but it doesn't look like he can make it any farther. It looks like that car may even be out of fuel, and he may have to coast this thing down pit lane as he gets this thing checked up down to pit road speed, heads down pit side, a little tire lock up there, making sure he doesn't speed down pit road, as that's definitely something you don't want to do. And for a few of our drivers here this evening, they ended up getting into that pit road speeding penalties here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys have been enjoying this racing action and you haven't done it for us already, make sure you guys help us out here. Hit that like button on the stream right now. Hit that thumbs up here on the broadcast for us. Make sure you hit that follow and subscribe button. Become a part of the PeaceMaker family here today. And jump into the comment section and let us know who you want to see pick up the win here this evening, as Applegate now is scored as our race leader. Now he's got a 14.5-second lead between himself and our second place driver, which is now Evan Stewart. Stewart now into position number 2 here. Tight battle back here for our second spot as Evan Stewart holds on to position number 2. As, look at one car sideways on the racetrack. Caution flag is going to fly. Caution flag out there on the racetrack. And as of right now, there's only 5 cars that are still on the lead lap. As Grant Applegate, I don't think he wanted to see that yellow flag, at least not for a little while longer, as that could have cut a lot of other drivers a lap down or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. But Evan Stewart rolling there in second. Zach Later, Caden Gargiulo, Wyatt Mickelson, our top 5, all still in the lead lap for Keegan Huey. He is the first car 1 lap down out on the racetrack, scored in that 6th position. Zach Perry able to time that pit stop perfectly there as Perry, he is 1 lap down, but he scored in that 7th position. Haller back there behind him in 8th with Joe David and Ethan Greek rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. So let's take a look back here. We saw Greek potentially running into issues here, maybe a couple other drivers as well. Let's take a look right here, as this is kind of where this caution flag is going to get thrown, as it looks like the 6 ride and the 3 ride contact right there. And unfortunately for the best friends, the RIP Chewy ride, you see that 3 machine sideways there on the racetrack. Unfortunately, iRacing getting a good look at it there. The flag man not too far away. He's able to save it and keep that car rolling. Unfortunately, though, iRacing elected to throw that caution flag right there. So a good break for the 3 ride, as he would have lost a lot of track time out there on the Speedway, would have fell back quite a ways. For other drivers, this is going to be a good break for them to try to get back onto the lead lap here, as we do see some drivers head down pit road, except for Wyatt Mickelson. Wyatt will now be scored as our race leader here this evening. As Applegate down pit road, Evan Stewart, Caden Gargiulo, Zach Later all head down pit side here. Now, I do believe Zach Perry and all these other drivers, they're looking for a wave around here. They're looking to try to get themselves back on the lead lap. So you do see the 32. That is Nick Biddy. Biddy has scored his 2 laps down there in the 32 ride. So he will get a lap back here. For Zach Perry, he'll get back on lead lap. For Aiden Lucas, he'll get one of his 2 laps back here this evening as well. Obviously, Matthew Wood going to get back onto the lead lap. Same with Ryan Haller, Joe David. Doesn't look like Mark Wynn Brewer's going to take that wave around here. He'll head down pit side. Same with Ethan Greek in that 3 machine. So, obviously, a lot of different pit strategies, a lot of different drivers trying to figure out different ways and what they need to do or how they need to try to position themselves to try to put themselves into a winning position here today. As here we go. We will get ready to go back to green flag racing here this evening. And it looks like Matthew Wood is not going to get a wave around right here. He's sliding back to the rear of the field. That is a tough break there for Matthew Wood, as that will still keep him a lap down out on the racetrack. For Applegate, though, he does see a few more drivers get back onto the lead lap. He is not our control car anymore. It's Wyatt Mickelson. Wyatt not coming down pit road right there. We'll have the older tires between the rest of our top 5 here this evening. Even our top 6 is Zach Perry back with came down pit road just before that caution flag. This could have been a great break there for him. Obviously now, Caden Gargiulo, Zach Later, Evan Stewart, Grant Applegate, they've got the freshest tires. They were on the racetrack, and they're getting ready to use them to their advantage to try to put themselves up and into the winning situation. As Wyatt Mickelson, another front row start here for the 51 ride. Obviously started on the front row in the opening lap. Him and the 57 ride got tied together and caused a caution flag before we even saw that green flag fly. And now we may see it happen again. Contact! They're wrecking down across the start finish line again. And this is a no bueno. This is the worst case scenario for Applegate. Worst case scenario for the 51 of Wyatt Mickelson, and for the 37 ride, Evan Stewart gets collected here as well. Nowhere to go for a bunch of these drivers. And chat, I got to apologize for that one. I think I jinxed that one. I think I may have jinxed that. We talked about how these two got tied together on the opening start of this race, and it was almost the pure picture. The only thing that was different is the 16 run of Matthew Wood wasn't in front of these guys driving away, and Applegate was down low. This 51 ride was up on the high side, and other than that, it was damn near picture perfect. As here we go, back to the loud pedal through the Geico restart zone. The 51 and the 57 both spinning the tires to make a little contact right there. Obviously, the 57 washes up the track. He's trying to hang on to it. The 7 ride, not expecting him to be spinning the tires, gets into the back end of him here. Then they all just pile in there. Zach Clater, there goes the 51 right around. The 57 already around here as Matthew Wood scrapes up into the outside fence there with the 7. 00. Here comes the 74 right, nowhere to go. Slams into the side of Wyatt Mickelson. Here comes Aiden Lucas in there. He drives into the back end of the 74. The 32 machine also going to go around here. That is the 32 right of Nick Biddy. Biddy with some pretty heavy front end damage here as well. As man, there's so many drivers that just got tore up again here on another one of these starts. And man, they're crazy. They've been crazy all night long. And unfortunately, this contact going to take out a lot of fast cats here this evening. A lot of heavy damage to a lot of our front runners. Obviously, these guys were up on the lead lap. They were sitting in prime position with fresh tires here for the 57, the 37, the 39. All these drivers had some fresh tires. They were sitting perfectly there as you see Nick Biddy get up into the outside fence, then go around, and the 38 ride's going to get a piece of him right there. The 23 machine all of a sudden looks like he's going to get turned around there as it looks like the 17 of Jason Bogart, unfortunately, going to get tied up there with the Xfinity number 23 ride, and that spins Ryan Haller around, but man, a bunch of heavy damage, a lot more contact and damage here for these drivers. You see Mickelson, Applegate, Evan Stewart down pit side here, extended trips down pit road trying to get their cars repaired, and now more drivers able to navigate their way back onto the lead lap here, and it's going to be this number 38 ride of Keegan Huey. Huey is now scored as our race leader here this evening. Zach Perry in position number 2. Joe David there in third with Zach Clater back in position number 4. Ryan Haller scored there in 5th with Caden Gargiulo. Ethan Greek, Wyatt Mickelson scored back in 8th now with Evan Stewart there in 9th. Applegate back in 10th. And then we see Matthew Wood, who's going to be looking for this wave around here. The lucky dog. Not sure why he hasn't gotten the lucky dog. It's still showing us he's a lap down out there on the Speedway, but for him, still rolling out there unless if SDK for some reason is messed up. Nope. Lights are still on the official iRacing pace car. Matthew Wood and Jaden Porter should both get a wave around here. Back onto the lead lap. There we go. We are going to see the lucky dog. There's a wave around for the 74 ride here this evening. I don't know why they did not get those earlier, but nonetheless, there they go, able to get themselves back onto the lead lap. Great break there for Porter and Matthew Wood. That's a good break for them, and we'll get themselves back on the lead lap for Mark Wynn Brewer. Now he is the first car 1 lap down out there on the racetrack. Nick Biddy right there behind him, also a lap down, scored in the 14th position. Aiden Lucas a lap down again, scored back in 15th with Jason Bogart a couple laps down there in the 16th spot. Michael Durham Jr., Michael Ponder Jr., Latham Joyner down and out of this racing with Jacob Hefner, Jordan Fisher, Trent Johns, Jordan Brinkley, Caleb Holloman also down and out of this race. Blair Saunders also down and out of this race as well. As we started with 26, we currently only have 18 drivers left rolling out there on the racetrack now. Some of them are multiple laps down. Some of them are very close to potentially getting back onto the lead lap. And if we continue on this trend, I'm sure we will have a lot more potentially out of this race. There are a lot more drivers potentially getting back onto the lead lap. As the lights are off the official iRacing pace car, and we will get ready to go back to green flag racing here once again as drivers ready to rock and roll here. I don't know how Matthew Wood ended up in front of Gargiulo, Applegate, Greek, all these other drivers, but nonetheless, he's in front of them, and he'll get ready to rock and roll here from about the 9th position. We told you not to count out Matthew Wood, as somehow or another he ends up to find his way back on the lead lap. We'll have to wait and see if he can, as Haller rolls there in that 5th position. Now there's some lap traffic in between himself and our race leaders as Keegan Huey and Zach Perry lead this race is down through the Geico restart zone. Let's see if we can get this one restart again. See if we get some more good green flag laps here for us, and no tire spins here on this restart. Looks like everyone able to get onto the throttle, everyone able to keep on rolling. No one goes around, and we're able to keep it clean and green. Back down into corner number 1. as Keegan Huey has this race lead. Huey out in front. He has about 13 lap older tires than the 76 ride of Zach Perry. So Perry should be able to use the fresher tires to potentially work his way to the front of the field here. And now you're going to see those tires potentially work for him as you do see the 22 ride of Michael Potter Jr. hard up into the outside fence. Hefty contact there for the 22. Gets up into the wall, and that allows the field to get around him. Unfortunately, he is the farthest scored back driver on the Speedway right now. Scored back in the 18th position, and he is the last driver still out there driving on the racetrack. Scored in that 18th position. Zach Perry out in front now. Perry leads this race, and there's a lot of drivers laying down some very, very quick lap times. Applegate right now laying down some blazing fast laps back here deeper in the field as he's looking to navigate his way back up towards the front of the pack here. So is in Wyatt Mickelson. These guys are trying to cut through some of this lap traffic, trying to navigate their way back up here to the front. They got some fresher tires, and they're looking to use them to their advantage. As you do see Zach Perry, though, out in front, starting to pull away here as Joe David and Zach Clater now battling here for position number 2. Clater does have a little bit better tires than what Zach Perry has here on his race car. Same with Ryan Haller as well, as Haller down low. He will look to make that move around the inside of that 6 machine and move Ryan Haller now up and into position number 3 here on the Speedway. So Haller into third. The 6 rider Joe David slides back into position number 4, but he's not done yet here. That 23 ride struggling even with the newer tires, having a hard time trying to navigate his way around the racetrack, and Joe David's able to hang on strong, and now that's bringing a lot of extra traffic here right to their back bumpers. Finally, Haller able to jump up, clear that number 6 ride. Now we see Wyatt Mickelson trying to figure out a way to get around him, and that's opening up the door here for Matthew Wood. Applegate, they're right there ready to pounce that 32 ride, trying to work his way back onto the lead lap as Nick Biddy now scored as the first car 1 lap down out on the Speedway. So a great break there for Nick Biddy, and this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. There's a lot of different tire strategies, still some very hard racing back there as that 14 ride trying to hang on to it. Mark Wynn Brewer, they're at a corner number 4, luckily not be able to catch it, keep that car pointing in the right direction. Here this way, this one is Ramrod says 1776, let's go, he says. Is sure Haller says Haller, let's go, she says, let's go. Brian Underwood cheering on Haller here this evening as Brian Underwood says, how does Grant lose this one? Oh, caution, yeah, that's how we lost it, unfortunately, there for Grant. Definitely that tire spin definitely was not his friend, as we do see another caution flag fly here as well, as it looks like Jaden Porter going to run into some issues here. Looks like him and Ethan Greek potentially having some problems here. Looks like Ethan's going to get in there a little too deep, ends up into that left rear quarter panel. Oh, and nowhere to go for Michael Potter Jr. as he ends up slamming in to that 74 ride as well, and you see that Tim Horton's machine parked up into the outside fence here. Let's take a look back as you see the 3 ride. He's been trying to get around Jaden Porter. Jaden is on the lead lap here. Obviously still has that heavy left front damage from early in this race. Now he's been nursing it all night long. Somehow has been able to keep himself on the lead lap and fairly somewhat competitive here, but slower than a lot of other drivers. And unfortunately this time that 3 ride just going to get in there a little too far. Makes that contact with that left rear quarter panel, and that's just going to send this 74 ride around right there. There's that contact. As the Chewy machine gets into him, gets him sideways here on the racetrack. Now Jaden's trying to catch it, trying to keep this car pointing in the right direction. And then a little further back, you're going to see this 22 right on Michael Potter Jr. Michael, he's aiming for the middle, sees the 74 kind of coming back down. He tries to go down underneath him. Unfortunately, can't shoot down the racetrack quick enough. Slams into the back end of that 74. Heavy back end damage there for Jaden Porter, then slams up into the wall. So his night got a whole lot tougher and a quick hurry there. And if he's got that quick repair, he's desperately going to have to use it now, or his night may have came to an end right there. As man, that was a heavy couple hits. Obviously already had that damage on the 74 ride, and not a spot you want to be in here. And now for a lot of these other drivers, Pit strategy really going to come into play now. Zach Perry leading this race. Zach Later there in second. Ryan Haller in third with Wyatt Mickelson back in position at number 4. Applegate there in fifth with Caden Gargiulo. Ethan Greek there in seventh. And now Matthew Wood scored back in position number 8 on the racetrack here. So Matthew Wood scored back in 8th, but he just came down pit road, put some fresh tires onto his car. And for right now, Matthew Wood, farthest forward driver here with the freshest tires. He'll get ready to restart from that 8th position. Joe David back behind him's got those fresh tires as well. And then Nick Biddy getting the wave around back onto the lead lap. Great break there for Nick as he's able to roll there in 10th. Jaden Porter looks like he did have that quick repair, so that car is fixed back up, and he does have some fresh tires onto that car. Same with Evan Stewart in that 37. So for Evan, Jaden, a lot of these drivers are going to be looking to try to navigate their way through the field, and that's where things can get very, very interesting in a quick hurry. That's where we tend to see drivers get ran over, drivers get turned around, and drivers end up in a very, very tough position out there on the speedway. As we'll get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing here this evening from Dover International Speedway. It is the Wheel to Wheel Racing League here this evening as drivers look to get rocking and rolling once again as they get ready to rumble down through that Geico restart zone. Who will be able to hit it perfectly? Who will potentially spin those tires? Looks like everyone able to get back onto the throttle nice and easily right there. No one getting turned, but look at Ryan Haller gets punted. Haller up and into the fence. Caution flag back in on the racetrack. Oh, baby. Laps are counting down. The aggression is picking up. And unfortunately here for Ryan Haller, he's going to get punted right here. It looks like Applegate trying to get a big restart there. Able to stick right to the back bumper. Not the best restart out of the 23 ride then. Applegate just going to get down to the inside here. He's poking his nose underneath of him. Probably should have rolled out of the throttle at this point as he is pretty far down there. Unfortunately for Haller, just gets he's trying to pinch him down or just not realizing that the 57 is going to send it in that far, and all of a sudden just ends up making some pretty hard contact there. Sends that 23 up the racetrack into the outside fence here. Let's take a look and see this one again as you see the 23, the 57, and obviously, yeah, Applegate just sends it in there too far. I don't even think he was clear by the time he ended up making contact here, and actually just drives more or less into the back end of that 23. So probably should have rolled out of it, but the aggression side of things obviously coming alive here. Under 20 laps left to go in this race, and unfortunately for Ryan Haller, that's going to be a tough hit there for him. Obviously battling up inside the top 3, just looking to keep a solid run going here this evening, and then gets punted down to the corner number 1, up into the outside fence. Heavy damage there for the Xfinity Ryan, and not the way he wanted things to go here in this one, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to rumble here again. See how this plays out again this evening, as Brian Underwood says, Mr. Aggressive Strikes, Mr. Aggressive Strikes. He definitely struck right there, and unfortunately, Ryan Haller, he's the one that gets the wrong end of that one, unfortunately, and we'll get ready now to go back to Green Flag Racing again, and we'll get another driver back on the lead lap here. Marquin Brewer that time able to get that lucky dog, the free pass, back on the lead lap here for the 14 ride. Aiden Lucas still not into the free pass position yet. He still scored a lap down here. Keegan Huey has fallen a lap down there in the 38 ride. Jason Bogart still a lap or 2 behind back there in the 16th position. Same with Michael Durham Jr. Obviously Michael Ponder Jr. down pit side here. Now he may be down there for the rest of the night after some very solid damage there on that last hit that he got into the back end of the 74 ride, as we do see Evan Stewart back down pit side. Jaden Porter down pit road. Aiden Lucas still down pit side, trying to get that car repaired, trying to get it rolling back out onto the speedway. We'll see if he can jump back out there, stay one lap down, maybe try to battle his way into the free pass here before the end of this race, especially if we see some more caution flags. But he's going to have to get rolling here in a quick hurry for Aiden Lucas, still down pit side. And, ooh, baby, that's going to get close. I think he's just going to be able to come out in front of the official iRacing pace car there. So lucky break there for the 34 ride as he's able to stay at least just a lap down here this evening as we'll get all these drivers ready to rumble here once again. Lights are again turned off. The official iRacing pace truck here this evening as Mike Greek says, "Let's go Greek." Cheered on Ethan here this evening as Ethan in that Chewy ride rolling there in position number 7 now on the Speedway. Now he does have a little bit of damage here to the front end of that Chewy machine as the Toyota Camry ready to rumble here from the 7th position, and we'll have to wait and see what he can do, see if he can try to pick up a solid top 5 here and maybe even a little farther forward, see if he can bring Chewy up here into the broadcast booth post-race. Zach Perry, though, our race leader here this evening. Now the turntables turn here for that 76 Ryan Knight. Started off on the very wrong foot, but has been able to battle his way back in. Some good strategy, and here he is at the front of the field, but there's a lot of drivers back behind him with a lot fresher tires here than that 1776 Motorsports Ryan. He'll be looking to try to keep them all back there at bay. As here we go, back to green flag racing. The 76 with a good jump, but Applegate stays right there on his back bumper. Now here comes that 7 ride of Caden Gargiulo. Gargiulo down low as the 16 of Matthew Wood. You see Matthew up there trying to go potentially 3 wide here as he's going to push Wyatt Mickelson down into corner number 3 here on the Speedway. Wyatt able to hang on to it there, hangs on to that 6th position as now there's a little contact. Look out, baby, as here goes Joe David and Keegan Huey around. No caution flag as of yet on the racetrack. No caution flag as of yet. We are still clean and green. Looks like the 6 ride will keep on rolling and the number 38 able to keep on rolling here. Actually looks like he's going to throw that car down pit side, so a tough break there for Keegan Huey, and for iRacing not throwing a caution flag there for that one. Definitely a surprise for me as the 76 is Zach Perry. Last time around just laid the quickest lap of this race, a 23.01, the quickest lap of this race here coming late in this one. Just a little bit quicker than Zach Later and Caden Gargiulo as they just laid down their fastest laps of this race. Same with Matthew Wood in that 16 ride as he's now up inside the top 5 once again. Applegate back there in position number 2. We'll have to wait and see if Applegate, maybe that damage on the front of that car after the contact between him and Ryan Haller, potentially slowing him down just ever so slightly here, and it's putting a ton of pressure onto the back bumper here of that 57 ride as here comes the 7 machine. Caden Gargiulo looking to try to get around him as now Applegate going to bounce it off the fence, and here comes that 16 Matthew Wood down to the inside. Matthew making some more big moves here late in this race, trying to put himself up and into what could be a great late race battle for the win here this evening as he's trying to work his way through the traffic. Has the freshest tires out of anybody inside the top 5 right now and almost out of the top 10, but Evan Stewart back in position number 8 came down pit road there on lap 182. May have some very fresh tires here himself and trying to race his way up here into this fight at the front as Ethan Creek back in 9th. Jaden Porter trying to get around him there for that 9th position as Porter rounds out our top 10 on the racetrack. Ryan Haller scored back in position number 11 with Marquin Brewer back there in 12th. Aiden Lucas is in that free pass position. He's the first car 1 lap down, but would need another caution flag, and we may not see another one here with only 10 laps left to go, but maybe we will. I don't know. There was a little contact right there. Zach Later got into that 7 ride, and Caden Gargiulo got Gargiulo up the racetrack here. Unfortunately, had to roll out of that throttle, and Caden falls all the way back now into the 8th position as here comes Matthew Wood. Now around the 57 rider, Grant Applegate. Applegate going to slide back to 3rd here as Matthew Wood up and into position number 2. And for Zach Perry, that's the last thing he wanted to see, is Perry does not want to see Matthew Wood chasing him down here late in this race and trying to steal this win away from him, as everyone wants to keep Matthew Wood back there behind them. Does not want to see this 16 right up and in victory lane as Matthew already with 5 wins here on the season. They don't want him to see that 6 checkered flag. He almost got it a couple or last week from Chicago Street Course. Almost picked up the win there, but here tonight it's Zach Perry starting to try to hold him off and keep him back there at bay. As Perry leads this race, Wood there in 2nd. Nick Biddy in position number 3 with Grant Applegate now sliding back into position number 4. For Nick Biddy, he was a lap down there not too long ago, was able to get that lucky dog in back into the battle here this evening. And for the Nick Biddy Designs ride, back up inside the top 3. Great run here late in the race for Nick Biddy as Applegate, unfortunately, now slides back into fourth gear. Zach Glader right there on his back bumper. Here comes Evan Stewart. Stewart trying to race his way back inside the top 5 as he rolls there in that 7th position. Caden Gargiulo trying to battle back, though, looking back to the inside of that 37. Ryan trying to work his way back into the 7th position here on the racetrack. And Zach Berry, though, trying to hold off Matthew Wood. Wood giving it everything he's got here. They're tight down into corner number 3. Maybe a little bit of contact as here comes Nick Biddy. If these two keep on battling the way they are, as they're going to lean on each other out of corner number 4. Biddy's there. They're almost 2-3 wide. More contact down into corner number 1. As Matthew Wood aggressive here, trying to work his way around Zach Perry. And now you see the 32 ride. He's going to use up Perry. Perry gets up into the outside fence. Good contact there between Perry and the 32. Perry's not going to give up that bottom side now. Tries to keep that 32 right back there at bay as Matthew Wood takes that late race lead and now has control of this race with only 4 more laps left to go. Looks like Nick Biddy going to mount another challenge. He will find his way around that 76 of Zach Perry. Perry slides back into position number 3 here on the Speedway as Matthew Wood, though, out in front trying to run away with it. Does Nick Biddy got something left in the tank? Can Biddy jump up there and put the pressure onto the back bumper here of Matthew Wood late in this race, or does Matthew just pull away with this one and keep all these drivers back there at bay? Can Applegate hold on to position number 4? Can Glader find his way up and around that 57 ride? And then we look at a couple drivers back here just outside the top 5. The 51 of Wyatt Mickelson, that 37 ride at Evan Stewart. What it would mean for them to try to get back into the top 5. But now you see the 51 hard contact into that outside fence. That was a big hit right there for Wyatt Mickelson. Wyatt definitely going to lose at least a spot, maybe even 2 spots. Here is now the 7 ride of Caden Gargiulo trying to get around him here. That was a big mistake late in this race for that number 51 machine, as that allows Evan Stewart now into 6. As here we go, Matthew Wood down across the line. We'll see the white flag fly here at Dover International Speedway. Matthew Wood with only 1 more lap around here this evening with the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League. It's been craziness all night long, and Matthew Wood down through corner number 3 and out of 4 for the final time here this evening will pick up the checker flag here from Dover International Speedway. It's Matthew Wood who will pick up the dub here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up to the Red Bull number 16 machine here this evening as Matthew Wood picks up the win. Nick Biddy coming home in second. Zach Perry there in third with Applegate and Zach Glader rounding out our top 5. Evan Stewart back in 6th. Wyatt Mickelson there in 7th. Caden Gargiulo, Jaden Porter, and Ethan Greek rounding out our top 10 here this evening. If you're favorite driver here this evening finished inside the top 10 here today, let's see a congratulations in the chat right now for him. Let's see even a bunch of number 1s in the chat here for our race winner here this evening. Is Matthew Wood gonna celebrate down here at Dover as he is gonna party hardy here this evening, pumped up, picking up another win in extending his points lead here on the rest of the field today. He's going to celebrate here, I do believe, teammate there with that 57 right at Applegate. Applegate definitely a bit more of a rough run than I think he was expecting here this evening after early incidences and a couple mistakes on the initial start and some of those restarts and then contact late there with him and Haller. Definitely not the way a lot of these drivers wanted things to go here this evening, as Mike Greek says congrats to Greek here this evening as Ethan coming home there in that 10th position. As hey, it's Kev, Mr. Haller himself says how to top 10 until I got cleaned out, maybe even had a podium chance. Yeah, that's a tough break there for you, Haller. Definitely a tough one, brother, as yeah, battling back, able to put yourself into that position there late in the race, and then obviously the aggression picking up, and unfortunately the number 57, right, Grant Applegate, not going to back down, not going to lift there, and ends up running over you and pushing you right up into the outside fence. Heartbreaker there for you as we'll get ready now to pull in our top 3 here into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next. Let's see if we can get Matthew Wood right up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hello.
Matthew, man, Pretty wild race here this evening, man. Obviously, a bunch of caution flags, a bunch of different competitors around you all evening long, different pit strategies there. Then, obviously, going a lap down with the pit road penalty yourself and battling back here late in this race, trying to navigate your way through some very tough competition here later on this evening to put yourself up and into victory lane, man. Take us back through this one and what's kind of going through your mind right now after a whirlwind of events here all evening for pretty much everybody out there on the racetrack.
Pain. My whole body hurts, and especially my right ankle. Um, I was playing football in cleats yesterday with my buddies and landed in a ditch and rolled it upside down. I mean, I sprained it. I don't think I broke it. I didn't go to the doctor, but um, it was another one of them confusing, don't know what's gonna happen, when is it gonna happen kind of races where I think Lathan's gonna probably it's gonna be between me and him, and then just like Kentucky, Grant can go out and take two tires, and because of the next gen car, the way it is now, you can just aero block and pull away from the field. I can't get within half a second of him. Um, I think he had better overall pace anyway. Um, I don't really know what happened on pit road. Because usually you can bounce it off of 35 and 36, and once it tells you to kind of slow down, then you slow down. But it never gave me the warning to slow down, and I only flicked it to 36, like pixels 36. So I don't know that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean Grant literally cannot catch a break, and I think me and him should have ran off with this race. Me, him, Latham, and Jordan. I think we all four should have been up there battling for the win, but it's one of them races that never end out like that. It should end one way, but it never ends that way. But I come out with a win, and that's what it is.
Absolutely. It's always a good day for yourself when you're able to find yourself after a whirlwind of events and some craziness out there on the Speedway, and you're able to find yourself up here in victory lane. Definitely not a whole lot to complain about there on that front, especially when you look at the points and extending the points lead and everything else, and having another very solid day at the racetrack here for yourself, even well being injured. But yeah, obviously we saw Latham up there, we saw Jordan Fisher, we saw the 11 ride up there, man. We saw so many fast drivers, even the 95 machine up there battled with you for quite a while, Jacob Hafner, and obviously, so many great competitors throughout this race all of a sudden ended up having tough runs here this evening. Obviously, we saw Jordan get tied up in one of those wrecks. We saw Jordan Fisher, as he was trying to make that green flag pit stop, ran into the sand barriers there on pit entry. Same with the 0-3 Ryan Latham joiner. So mistakes for them down pit road, a little bit more substantial than yours, as you just got that speeding penalty in the whole down pit side. But you look back there in your rearview mirror, you saw the 34 Ryan had that penalty. A few other drivers getting those penalties as well, just speeding down pit side, and all of a sudden it kind of really turned this race into a bit of a lopsided event, as there was only 5 drivers after those green flag pit stops still on the lead lap here this evening. Then obviously all those late race caution flags, the wave arounds, the lucky dogs, everything else, drivers able to battle their way back onto the lead lap here this evening, and that was a great break for some of them, obviously a tough break for others. But man, that was some crazy action out there, man. Crazy restarts, drivers spinning the tires, looping the car around, and then obviously a lot of good hard door-to-door action here this evening as well. So looked like, as much as it was mayhem out there, it seemed like it was controlled mayhem and some fun mayhem out there for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, definitely. It took a while to start, and I mean, some people, the next gen's just a little bit. I say a little bit. It's very inconsistent with throttle and brake, and especially under braking. And saw that last week. It happened to me again on Wednesday at Chicago Street Course. Same corner. Go in there, and it just doesn't stop. So I think the same thing was happening with people. They just didn't expect it today on the restarts, and I can't blame them. Unfortunately, they took a lot of good contenders out, but again, gotta thank No Blackwell and GB Designs and all the admin crew that are with me and the whole team, everybody that supports me. You for what you do a great job. And I gotta Zach. That was an awesome battle at the end. Me and him door banging off of each other down the back straightaway, front straightaway, turn 3, turn 4. Um, I thought I was gonna wreck him there for a minute, but I kept it under myself. But again, thank the Lord for what He's done for me. What He always will, and it. Landon Burbage, by the way, I think his grandparents watch me, and they're supportive of me, and I really appreciate that. I love Landon, and I love that whole family. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Very, very awesome having the fans in the stands watching and cheering you on here this evening and being able to, thank them up here in the victory lane once again for now the 6th time here on the season for the Wheel to Wheel Racing League. And we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Sunday, Matthew. Hopefully we'll see you right back up here in victory lane.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too, brother.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner here this evening as Matthew Wood picks up the dub here this evening. Now we'll get ready to pull in potentially our second place finisher as Nick Biddy was in there. I do see Zach Perry in there now, but I don't see Nick Biddy in there anymore. We got to get Nick into the chat here again. He was just in there, but he has disappeared again, and I don't want to not pull him in, so I don't know if he was waiting or he was just being patient there and then finally decided to hop over and see what his friends were doing or whatnot, but we'll have to wait and see if we can get him back into the booth here for his post-race interview this evening as we'll get ready to pull in, I guess, our third place finisher here as Biddy does come home in second. If we do get Nick Biddy back into the Discord here, we will pull him in for his post-race interview, but I don't see him in there as of right now, so we'll get ready to pull in our third place finisher. It's Zach Perry. Perry comes home in position number 3. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Zach, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Zach, man, a crazy race here all evening long, man. Obviously, right out of the get-go, you run into issues, you have problems, and so did so many other drivers. We saw at times you going a lap down, even 2 laps down, and it's just a bunch of battling for pretty much everybody to not only try to stay on the lead lap, but try to get back onto the lead lap here this evening. And then all of a sudden, through some strategy, a good pit stop there during that green flag run, and you're able to put yourself up here into almost the winning position here this evening until Matthew Wood came up there, battled with you at the end, door to door, and was able to steal this one away from you here this evening, man. Take us back through this race and what's kind of going through your mind right now. Did you think you'd end up here on the podium after how this race got started?
No. I don't even know how I got here, to be honest. I have no idea how I got in that position to be leading. Yeah, just went a lap down early. Everybody kept spinning the tires on the restart. I kept getting involved over and over again, and I just kept coming down fixing it. And somehow it went out that I was up front. Don't know how, don't know when, but it was fun. I mean, I tried to hold them off, but there ain't much you can do. I was out there on old tires. Even if I had new tires, I don't think I was going to hold them off. I tried.
Yeah, you definitely tried, and for a little while there, I wasn't too sure if you guys were going to wreck each other battling there for that race lead, or if Nick Beatty was just all of a sudden going to drive up and drive right around both of you and steal this one away from the pair of you guys out there on the racetrack, man, as that was a hell of a fight there at the end, and obviously battling for that race win. You're right to not give it up there. It's Matthew's right to try to take it away from you, man, and that was a hell of a battle there this evening.
It was a good run. Good run. I mean, I was blocking. I was expecting it. You can't pass in these cars, get behind in that dirty air. It's just, you just get stuck and you slide up the track. So if he wouldn't have made that move, that was really his only option. And I knew it was coming. So, it was clean. I saved it, got it back in third. So it is what it is. Tried my best.
Absolutely. Tried your best. Still came home with a very solid run here this evening. A top 3 performance here today for that 76 ride. Zach, who would you like to thank for such a great run and great performance out there on the racetrack and a nice rebound afternoon after a tough start to this race?
I think Brad's watching. Jason's dad, thanks for watching. I think Z-Watt's watching. Appreciate you guys coming and checking out this little thing we're doing. And thanks for broadcasting. It's a fun race.
Absolutely, brother. No better place to be on a Sunday night than up here in the booth watching you guys duke it out there on the racetrack. Zach, congrats on the third place run. Hopefully some momentum being built up for you and maybe your 1776 Motorsports teammates and maybe more trips for you up here into the broadcast booth.
That'd be good. We've been knocking on the door, so hopefully we come back a couple more times. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Yes, sir. You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Zach Perry. As Perry comes home there in position number 3 here this evening. Solid run, solid drive there for the 1776 Motorsports. Number 76 here today. Unfortunately, though, we were going to pull in our second place driver, Nick Biddy. Biddy was in there for a hot second, but he has not rejoined the waiting room there. We were in our first interview with our race winner, and he was in there, and then he disappeared. So I'm not sure if he decided to just go to bed or if he had to go do something else, but nonetheless, he's not in there, so we can't pull him in for his post-race interview. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in with the likes, the comments, the shares. Even if you guys are re-watching the broadcast and you're getting to this point, man, still hit that thumbs up button for us. Even if it's a week after, or a day after, or a couple hours after the broadcast, man, make sure you guys do us a favor. Just hit that like button for us. Drop a comment or two. Tell us what you thought about the broadcast and everything else. If there's pointers you want to make out or anything you want us to try to change, or if I'm mispronouncing your name or anything else, make sure you guys let us know so that way we know up here in the booth on how to make things better for the fans in the stands here this evening and in every single night here with racing action on PeaceMaker Gaming. And now hopefully we'll see you guys back in here in the grandstand cheering on the drivers tomorrow night, as we will be back up here in the booth. Another great show tomorrow evening, and for everyone to enjoy some absolutely amazing NASCAR truck racing tomorrow night and Tuesday night here before we head back to the dirt track Wednesday afternoon. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. We can't thank you guys enough for being here, being a part of the show here, and this amazing racing action here this evening. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love, chat. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your Sunday nights.
Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. PeaceMaker's mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. 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 Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, Peacemaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.